Okay, we're live. Here we are, folks. We're at the WBVP radio station in Beaver Falls, WMBA, and we're going to do something new today. We have cameras and video cameras, but I'm going to be live here on Facebook, so bear with me and enjoy the show. We're going to continue to talk about PsychoCybernetics, which is the book of the month this month. I think it's been a great book. We're also going to talk about the state of the economic financial world today. I've got the new numbers off the debt clock, U.S. debt clock last night, and it is horrendously scary. So it is going to be. We're on.
Yeah, we're on.
We're on. Okay.
We're right.
Hey, Eddie.
Tom, we're on everywhere.
We're on everywhere.
I don't know if the internet's a good thing or a bad thing, but it's an example of it. On your Facebook page right now, you're live and you're
Correct.
just doing an introduction.
Yep.
And I want to thank you because I'm going to steal everything you just said for the introduction I'm going to do now. Did a little work for me. I appreciate it. Tom Young of First Consultants is my guest, and we're going to be shooting the breeze as we have a tendency to do in the first hour. And the first thing you did when you came in, besides saying hi and maintaining social distance and having the mask talk, the first thing you did, you mentioned a book. And the name of the book scares me because it sounds like I might learn a lot if I read it. What's the name of the book? And that's got to do with what we're going to talk about today.
Yes, it does. Yes, it does. The title of the book is PsychoCybernetics, and it has been around. The original copyright date on it is like 1976.
That's something that it looks like I would have been told to read that in school, but didn't.
Well, no, they wouldn't have told you in school to read this.
No.
It would have been a book that you would have sought out through somebody that was coaching you for personal growth.
Okay.
You were searching for fulfillment in your life. You were looking for to be better. And that's really what we're all about in what I do.
It's not what I was doing in school. I wasn't looking for ways to get better, so you may be right. How does a book like that help you?
Well, it gets in your mind. And if I share let me go into a couple of the chapters. Number one, part one, there's two parts to the book. Now, part one is reaching goals.
Okay.
Okay, the fulfillment of your self-image.
Okay.
Fulfillment through clear thinking. 10 steps towards relaxation. I like that one.
That's the first one I perked up for, yeah.
Imagination and your self-fulfillment, self-acceptance and self-fulfillment, winning the battle with your conscience, from loneliness to happiness, creative mind watching. And everything that I talk about, it all comes down to our thinking muscle, Eddie.
Okay.
This gray matter between our ears. And very few people really understand that you must exercise the gray matter as well as you do the physical bones or the physical muscles in your body to be better by.
Why is that? Do we feel like we exercise our brains enough, functioning, getting through the day?
I don't think it's if we feel we exercise it. I think it's a strange thought. You know, for most people, they don't think of exercising the muscle.
Right.
And what are the things you do to exercise the muscle? Well, it could be as little as meditating. Mm-hmm. In other words, clearing your mind of all your thinking and be at peace for a few minutes in a meditative state. And doing that's what it talks about relaxation in the book, because we have to relax. And when you relax, when you're in a relaxative state, big words, I believe it allows, and it talks about the creative imagination that we all have, but very few people draw on it or encourage it to happen in our lives in what we do. And you know, as I start all this talk, I'm Tom Young. I own First Consultants Inc. in Beaver. I'm an author. Professional speaker. I've got several books that I've written. The Family Money Farm, the CFO Project is the latest. Before that was Life Insurance, Will It Pay When I Die? I have an ebook that jumpstarts your financial freedom. Another ebook, Financial Mastery Blueprint. And again, I own First Consultants. I created another company called Financial Curbs Inc. And it's designed as educational resource for personal and financial education. And remember, folks, if you share the show today, send me an email, and I will send you a copy of Life Insurance Will It Pay When I Die? Now, there's several ways to get free books in my programming. Another way to get it is, see if your mask on. You can't do that, Eddie. That drives me crazy. When I'm with somebody with a bath, you know, it hurts the paper thing when you're trying to get to the next page of paper and on what you're talking about. So you can go to that's a dash, CFO-project.com. And when you go there, put in your email address, and you'll instantly get a link, and you'll be able to download my new book, cover to cover, The Family Money Farm, the CFO Project. You can also go to my website, www.1stconsultantsinc.com. And when you go there, there is a wealth of information there. But also on that front page, if you want an appointment, right at the top of the page, there's a Calendly, so you can book your appointment with me. And remember, the first appointment is just get to know you, get to know me. I promise you I won't ask you to buy anything. Won't be a second appointment unless you desire it. Going forward from there, and I can show you what I do, how I do it, and answer some very prominent questions in most people's minds. What interest rate do I have to make in order to have enough money at retirement so that my money lasts as long as I do, with adjustments for inflation? Or the next question will be, well, how much do I have to save every year between now and retirement so I'll have enough money at retirement so the money will last as long as I do throughout my lifestyle, with adjustments for increases for inflation? The third question is, when will I be able to retire?
I'd have that as first.
Yeah. And the last question is, how much will I have to adjust my lifestyle? How much will I have to dial back my lifestyle when I retire? All for the reason, how long will my money last? Will it last as long as I do, with adjustments for inflation? So, you know, when we talk about these things, it is really imperative that we do planning in what we do. So after the news, after the second half of the show, I'm going to talk a little bit about what I believe the state of the economy is. On the surface, it looks good. They're saying, we're going to have a great year in 2021.
We're all getting money.
We're getting let loose and back to work, and things are going on. Stock market's going crazy. It's having more all-time records on the size of the stock market. But I think I have in my mind, again, Tom's opinion. If it's fact, I'll tell you. But if it's my opinion, I'll tell you. But you realize the government is shoving trillions of dollars into the economy last year and this year, so-called to help the COVID.
Right.
And this latest bill that went down is, 1.9 trillion, almost $2 trillion, and around 9 or 10% of it is actually for COVID. So the politicians are doing their usual thing. They're paying back all their buddies and bailing out people that aren't good at managing what they do, whether it's the states and local governments or whatever. But it's a story.
All right, I've got a question for you, but we need to take a break.
We're going to take a break.
You used a really interesting word. You were talking about meditation and relaxation,
yes,
and we're not capable. I've got a question about that after the break. Tom Young is my guest from First Consultants. It's 12:30. I almost forgot. 12:30 WBVP, 1460 WMBA. All right, I still forgot it's written right over there. And 99.3 FM presented by St. Barnabas.
Oh, this is different.
Dude.
Hey folks, we're here, and now they're on break. So
I'm blind. That didn't come on. Here it is. Oh, that looks like a light bright, dude. Where's the pegs to put in and make a design of a ship? Look at this face. This is the face you want under brighter light. Really. All right.
Oh, we're having fun here at the radio station, folks. And anytime they do something new, anywhere.
Matt, put me a cue.
It brings its challenges.
In the studio mode. and see what you got color light wise now.
I'm going for translucent.
So we're just gonna main.
Translucent.
Put it in studio.
How long till we come back?
How long is this? About another minute.
Okay. This is where it'd be really cool to be able to see you.
Or see the clock.
Or see the clock. Well, no, I got a clock.
Okay, that's a lot better. I don't
I got a clock over there. I think you're right, though. I think it does need to go up there. I think that clock for everybody needs to go up there and replace one of the.
What's the matter?
I'm thinking out loud.
Well, folks, they're taking a break, so they're paying for the radio show in the advertising that they sold to people that are now. If you're listening to the radio, you're listening to the advertisements that have been purchased that help pay for the radio station. So, with that being in mind,
Am I going into news or into spots?
How do you want to do it?
I don't care. Whatever's easier.
What do you want to do? Spots and then right into news?
You want me to intro the news or news is next?
You can just go right into news.
Okay.
okay, I see the clock down there now.
Well, you're right. When we're done with this,
There we go.
I'm gonna put it up on the wall.
You ready to go?
Yeah?
Or I'll point.
1230 WBVP 1460 WMBA 99.3 FM presented by St. Barnabas. Today, Tom Young is my guest from First Consultants, and this is available to you all over the planet in multiple formats. We're Facebook Live streaming this. Obviously, the 3 frequencies you just heard. Tom, it's on your Facebook stream. It's covered. Any way you want to cover this. Before the break, you were talking about humans not being able to relax. I'm just curious. I want your input. How much of that is the busyness of society, and how much of that is just our self-induced pressure to keep moving forward? Why can't we relax like we used to?
Well, we are gerbils on a wheel. Those little wheels that
Yes,
go
I
around,
do, yes.
and so as gerbils on the wheel, we don't plan and set goals in our life. We don't plan it out. We do every day as it is. In other words, I get up and you get into this thing we call habit, Eddie,
Yeah.
and the habit of life. You think about it in the morning when you get up. How much deviation is there from what you do from when your alarm goes off, when you get out of bed, or how many times you snooze the alarm before you actually get up?
Twice.
2 times, and I'm usually about that.
Two guy? Okay.
And now it's getting light, and that, so I'm finding it easier to get up early in the morning, because my regime every morning is I get up and I work out. I end up down in my workout room and do that every morning. And then one Tuesday a month, on the 3rd Tuesday of every month, I'm here.
Come in here.
But what you think about is the habit that you have. You have to change your regiment. You have to step out and do some things different. Now, in the relaxation, what I'm talking about here, how do you get permission to relax? You have to give you permission to relax. It's really what it comes down to.
It's hard to give yourself permission when your motivation is that hamster, that gerbil wheel. It's hard to slow down enough to do that. How do you do that?
If you don't have purpose in your life,
Right.
if you don't have goals that are set, whether it be 1 month, 1 week, one year, or whatever goals you set, you have to have a roadmap. It's no different than if you were going on a trip, Eddie.
Okay.
You're going to go on vacation.
All
So
right.
you call up the travel agent, and what are they going to ask you? There's 2 main questions that it's important.
How much time?
Where are
and
you
how
at
much?
now? What airport are you going to fly out of?
Okay.
Okay, so you got to know where you're
They're
starting.
not going to
at.
ask me first how much I want to spend?
They may get to that.
Don't
But-
know. If I'm
But
flying
none
out
of
of
that
a
matters if they
Okay.
don't know where you're leaving from,
Right.
or where you're going.
Okay.
Nothing else matters. Where are you going, Eddie? You're going on vacation. Well, I want to go on vacation. Well, where are you going? Oh, I want to go on vacation. And that's the way a lot of people live their life. And therefore, they don't know where they're going. they don't know when they're going. And right now, with the pandemic in the last year, I think people are really under pressure to really get out. And I mean, there is a release coming. As the lid comes off of the jar,
Right.
you know, the fleas that have been in the jar banging the lid for the last year, were all fleas. And when they take the lid off, it's going to be a challenge, but I think there's going to be an overflow of exuberance and people getting out.
It's society. It's going to be the last day of school for kids when those doors swing open and everybody just goes.
It's going to be like that.
Yeah.
It's going to be like that. But in the thing, all we're talking about now is having a state of mind
Okay.
that you're in control of. So
All right.
what are your thoughts? Where are you going? What is your plan for the day today? Have you thought it out? Have you written out your plan for the day? What are the things you want to accomplish today? So this is how you get to the point where you can relax, because you dedicate time. I work on a schedule I learned from Dan Sullivan, who was an international business coach, and I went to for. There are 3 types areas: focus days, buffer days, and free days. Thursday each week.
Okay.
Those are the times for appointments. Is planning. I'm either planning for the week, because Monday and Friday are usually my buffer days. So Monday I plan out the week. I make telephone calls, make sure appointments are followed up, and call up to confirmed appointments.
Right.
So then on Friday is cleanup day. So Friday morning, I usually clean up paperwork that I created that week, or I may write some checks out. I might pay some bills on Friday. Now, there's 2 times a year in my life. There is winter time, which we're coming out of right now,
Thank
and
goodness.
then there is summertime.
Yeah.
And summertime on Friday afternoon, I'm golfing. Usually, I'm out of the office from
Is that a 4th
noon.
category? Is that Tom time?
That's
maybe?
Tom time. Well,
Okay.
that's what the free days are.
Okay.
See, a free day is a time, whether it's a half a day or a day on the weekend, and you're going to be, it's a family day.
All right.
And in that day, you are not permitted to think about or talk about business in any way, shape, or form. A free day is total separation from everything that you do.
How difficult is that for somebody like you? You're driven, and you're driven with your business. How difficult is it to say, no business today?
It is difficult to do that sometimes, but I try to be where I'm at when I'm there. You have to learn how to be where you're at. If I'm at the golf course and I'm playing golf,
Right.
if I do good and I stay free and I keep all the stuff out of my head, I play well. I know when I don't play well is when there's something nagging me and I've not been able to let it go.
When you're not paying attention to striking the ball.
That's exactly right. I got other things that are gnawing at my mind, and so I've messed up my own free day. It's not easy to do some of this stuff, but it takes willpower to do it, and that's what the thinking is all about. You have to learn how to think correctly, and in thinking, you have to learn how to turn it off.
Okay.
When I go home and when I lay down and go to bed at night, I have this little self-talk I do, and before I'm done, I'm asleep. It's just a beautiful thing.
You soothe yourself to sleep with your
absolutely
own talk.
do. Well, I've got
Okay.
a little prayer that I say, and then I start thinking about, other things, and I have this turn the volume down. In other words, I start thinking.
Dialing down the
dialing
volume
down
in your head.
And before I'm done, I'm generally asleep.
It sounds like self-hypnosis.
It is along that line. Meditation,
Yeah.
Relaxation is sitting down doing it. So I see we're at 9:30.
Yeah.
So I guess it's time for the news.
You intro it. You're doing a
And-
better job than I'm
We're
doing.
going to break for the news, folks, and we'll be back in 8 to 10 minutes.
No, wait a minute. Say the station. AM 1230.
AM 1230.
AM 1460.
AM 1460.
99.3 FM. Presented by St.
99.3
Barnabas.
FM by St. Barnabas. And
And here's the news. I've told you, you do this better than I do this. You do this.
I'm just not afraid to open my mouth, that's all.
That's showing up on time and being willing to share your thoughts is about 80% of life. Showing up on time's the first part.
And who is this young lady?
This is Tony. And Tony, and you sell, right? I don't know. She shows
You
up.
do whatever Mark wants you to do?
Yeah, it's like the rest of us, we keep showing up. and
Now,
they
folks,
keep
we're
giving us
on the news break right now, so we'll gibber a little bit. At least here, I can talk a little bit because the news is going on in the other studio.
like in years' time, we're gonna be talking about second player in years.
So this is a little bit different format than what we usually do here at the radio show, because usually I'm at a bench, and there the board. Eddie is on the board on the other side, and so this is something new and a little bit different, and I hope they take my suggestion. I wish I had a table here with to be able to put my stuff on that I brought with me, my notes and everything. And when we come back after the news, I'm going to talk about U.S. debt clock. I'm going to talk about the stock market and why I believe the stock market continues to reach new highs. And what is on the horizon? What are some of the things out there now on the horizon? I don't know when it's going to come or when it's going to happen, but you know we are at 135%, 125%. I think is the number I have on my sheet of GDP in debt in America. So we're getting close to the brink in my mind. You know, there's 28 trillion of national debt per person. We're going in and out. I hope you're getting this. And per taxpayer, it's $223,893. It's interesting when I talk about the rest of this when we come back, and round out my discussion of PsychoCybernetics. Now you can also say, Mark, come here, Mark. This is Mark from the radio station, and it's the guy with the deep pockets and the big bucks.
There it is. It's deep.
Something's
deep in here.
So we're doing something new today with cameras and everything else. So cool. You know what, folks? Let me give you a tour of the new radio station, so you can see here.
Make sure you get a lot of me.
See here, there's Mark again, and there's the cameras. So we're in a different studio here, and let's get Eddie over here. Eddie, turn around, say hi, Eddie. There's
Hi,
Eddie. Eddie Crow. He doesn't crow a lot.
Eddie Crow doesn't crow.
Or maybe he does. I don't know.
Right.
It depends on what piece of equipment made me fall down and trip. Wait a minute.
Tom, before I forget, I have an appointment at 10. Can you call me later on?
Yeah.
Yeah, that'd be great.
Yeah.
I have to head down to Cornerstone.
All right.
Okay, I'm going to zoom this one in a little bit here.
What do you want me to bring you back with?
We're gonna talk. I read it. We're gonna talk a little bit about this table of contents for the book,
The book we were talking about before?
PsychoCybernetics.
The
Right.
cyber, okay, yeah. All right, I'll get back in.
I mean, I read them the
That's ripped.
What?
The table of contents.
table. I read the table
You
of
know how many
contents.
quizzes I passed by reading tables of contents only?
Can I do that last part of the show? I want to talk about how he is the evangelist.
Can you do
This-
instead of me?
You want to hear the name? I'm going to be a name dropper. I was palling around yesterday with Peter Mash-Antonio.
Okay.
Spoke very highly of you.
Okay, Peter.
He did. He said it. He goes, oh, and he said that he. Well, you know what? Now that I think about it, I can't remember if he said that because of listening to you, he invested, or I think he actually said he invests with somebody who advertises. Yeah, I think that may have been it.
Okay, you're about
But I'm going to take credit for
about
it.
50 seconds out.
All right.
Super good guy.
What did you,
Let's see, still
Yes.
need 2 more breaks.
Yes.
You need 2 more
He
breaks.
has followed my
all right,
advice for quite some time.
probably quarter till-ish and then top of the top of the hour going into news is
Yep.
where they, okay.
Yep, so
All
then
right.
we can transition in the other room.
Did you say you wanted to do the last segment with him? Well, man, you can do it now.
I was gonna just have a discussion about, you know, the temperament of
So
sales.
Matt, if you put,
Tom's the
if
evangelist.
you go into staging,
I told Peter that, he agreed with me.
huh?
When my boss
Gotta
asked-
believe.
There you can stage when
You got to believe in what you're doing.
You should be able to.
I mean, if you don't believe in your own stuff,
Everybody
That one's
believes,
set up on
but
one
there's
and two.
different temperaments that
But you still,
I couldn't.
well, that brings the passion. You have to have passion to be an
you
evangelist.
just have to plan
If
accordingly.
you wanted me to, if I tried
I'll
to sell
come
that
back.
way, I couldn't.
All right, here we go.
Here we go, Eddie.
I'm wondering how much of your Facebook feed caught what went on during news.
It
Did
probably,
some of it
I'm
got
sure
out
it
there,
did.
right? Okay.
I'm sure it did. I didn't
just-
hear any curse words.
No, you know what? We're professional. I just want to make sure for posterity, all of the things that were going on. It's
Yeah, Mark. I think Mark got recorded because it didn't. You know the.
You better
it-
run a disclaimer then or something.
AM 1230, WBVP 1460, WMBA, and 99.3 FM, presented by St. Barnabas. It's easy to forget with everything going on. This is being broadcast on the radio. And the reason it's easy to forget is because it's being broadcast everywhere on the planet. It's being Facebook live streamed by the station.
Right.
It's being Facebook live streamed by you.
Right.
You can't shake a cat and not run into this broadcast right now somewhere. Tom Young of First Consultants is my guest. At the very beginning, we started talking about the book, and then I started asking you deep esoteric questions. I want to get back to the book. Tell me the name of it again, because just being able to name drop it.
The book is PsychoCybernetics by
Okay.
Maxwell Maltz. Now, this is my original copy. This is a very yellowed and
Dog-eared,
marked up
yeah.
copy that I've had. I've read it several times.
And now, why is that book important to what you're doing?
It is really about getting control of how you think, Eddie. In
Okay.
other words, everything on the planet came from somebody's 6 inches. You know, the 6 inches between the ears is
Right.
probably the most important thing in the universe, because if you think about it, everything in the universe, everything,
Okay.
the original natural came from God above. I believe that. A lot of people believe that. Okay, God above.
Yeah.
And now I go beyond that and I say, okay, where did all the paraphernalia come at the radio station? Where did the Facebook Live and Google and all of the stuff, the signs and everything, that came from somebody's 6 inches?
Right?
So everything on the planet, other than what was created naturally by God, came from the 6 inches between somebody's ears. They had to creatively dream about it, think about it, before it was even created. Now, in that is the real definition of faith. Faith is the belief in something before you see it,
Okay.
before it exists. And we're really getting deep in this thinking process, which is really what it's all about. So the more I can release my thinking process, my thinking muscle, the greater opportunity for success I'm going to have in the future. Because we are all unique, Eddie, and there is no limitation to what you can do, become, or have, other than the limitations you impose on yourself with your 6 inches, and you have to train it how to think to reach maximum performance, maximum benefits. And that's really what PsychoCybernetics is all about. This guy was an MD. I think he's a psychiatrist that wrote this book.
Okay.
And that's what he's talking about. I have a summit coming up. I want to mention the summit.
Okay.
I don't have an exact date yet. It's going to be about 3 or 4 weeks from now, and it's called the Summit to Success. And we're going to have 30 speakers. It's going to be virtual, online, 3 days. 3 days of speakers, and it's going to cover the holistic aspect of our realm that we all live in. How do I find my success? And so there are going to be people that are experts in mind thinking,
Right.
in that physical fitness, because if you plan on enjoying life, it's better if you enjoy it being physically fit,
Being able to go
being
out
able
and
to
enjoy
go
it.
out and enjoy it. And so it will be business coaching, personal coaching, financial. I'm going to do a segment of it for the financial, but we're going to have 30 speakers called the Summit to Success.
All right. I want to get deeper into that. I want to take a break first. Going to take a break right now, and we'll come back. Tom Young of First Consultants is my guest. It's 1230 WBVP, 1460 WMBA, and 99.3 FM, presented by St. Barnabas.
Break time, folks. We're in a couple minutes of break. We'll be right back.
Good point. Okay, good point.
No, it's just. Dude, this is why you should do the right segment.
You want me to juggle or anything?
Do you know how to juggle?
I can juggle.
Seriously, do you know how to
Depends
juggle?
on what you juggle.
I almost flunked out of grad school because I learned to juggle. Well, I almost flunked out of grad school because I didn't go to class because all I did was learn to juggle.
Back to over here. So I'll go right into, so you're gonna wanna go. Okay.
So we have another break going on, folks.
When we come back, we won't have another break till
A break?
probably 57.
Okay. Now remember, folks, you need to come back at noon today. I will be live at noon today, back here on Facebook again, doing our weekly, daily broadcast at 12 noon. And we'll continue our journey in more in-depth discussion about PsychoCybernetics and this book. Next month, the book is going to be The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People by Stephen Covey. It is one of the most read, most printed books on business and personal success that I believe exists out there. So that's going to be the book of the month in April. The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People by Stephen Covey.
How many minutes of stops are now at a stop sign? 2. All right. If I miss, I need to miss short rather than over and burying, so I'll bail it probably 57:20, something like that. Hey, I'm shutting up. Tom can talk all day. He can stay till noon.
That's only because you have something to talk about, Eddie. I can't visit you not having something to talk about.
When I'm not here, I don't say a word to anyone.
Well, that's funny because I'm in a people business.
Right.
I'm everywhere, but yet when I'm by myself, I would much rather go home and read.
Music.
Or
for me. Yeah.
music.
Music.
You know, Susan Boyle, Josh Groban, Andre Bocelli. Those are the
Torch songs and classics.
Oh,
Yeah.
those are the things that to me, music, it just takes me to that relaxation world. It takes me
That's
away
it.
from
I'll come
everything.
back.
How long?
3,
2.
2, 1.
1230 WBVP and 1460 WMBA 99.3 FM, presented by St. Barnabas. Tom's been my guest and continues. Tom Young of First Consultants. We're broadcasting this live. We're Facebook streaming this live. Tom is Facebook streaming this live. And before we took the break, you were just starting to get into what's going on with your, what's it called?
Summit
It's a
Summit to Success.
And with 30
Be
speakers.
30 speakers
Okay.
over 3 days of virtual conference. The tickets will be free. Did you hear that, folks? The ticket will be free.
I'd have opened with that, man.
The tickets will be free.
There you go.
For the 3 days. My goal, folks, those of you who have listened to me, the goal is to change people's lives. It's really what it is, to help people find that center of thought that will start a different direction. one of the books we're going to do in the future is The Road Less Traveled, which is another great book, and we'll probably do that in May or June. But let me talk just a couple minutes about this table of contents in this book, PsychoCybernetics.
This is the book that you started. We began the show talking
That's
about.
where we began the show.
Right.
And part one, there was reaching goals. You have to realize that you have to set goals, folks. If you don't set goals, you're not going to end up anywhere. You're going to end up as an acceptable level of mediocrity. If that's what your intent is, God bless you. I can't make any difference in your life, but you have to want it.
Are there people like that it's okay? I'm mediocre and I recognize that and I'm okay with it.
The world is full of those kind
Yeah.
of people, and I feel bad for them because wasn't their intent, Eddie.
Right.
What
you don't
they did is
graduate
they-
high school saying, okay, I'm going to work real hard and reach
No,
mediocrity.
those are people that have had some challenges and they've had some failures, and they have lost sight that you have to fail your way to success. I mean, success isn't the thing that happens. The people that are the most successful, they can look back and tell you about all the times they failed. I had times in my life that were not good times,
Right.
but I didn't quit. I kept going. I took the next step. I just kept going with a deep belief in my heart that I would find my way.
Did that belief ever waver?
Oh, it did along the way. I'm sure there were times, but there were times in my life that I look back and God reached down and touched my life and said, okay, here's the direction. And I believe that with all my heart that happened in my life. That was 30 years ago when I was on the verge of bankruptcy and I had a big lawsuit. For 3.5 years, I thought my world was coming to an end. I considered, I had a lot of life insurance, and I started to think, well, that would have been better for my family than me, because look at the mess that I created, because I thought I'd created the mess.
That's a heavy thought to think that the world would be better off around you if you're not in it.
And then I was exonerated.
Yeah.
Man, I lost all my confidence during that period of time. I lost total direction of everything. But God put me in front of some people. Jody Victor, the guy that I love, and the guy saved my life. And he's been a mentor for years to what I am. And showed me direction. He didn't create me. He showed me the direction. I had to want it.
Okay.
You have to want it, Eddie. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
You have to want it. And you have to want it so bad that you're willing to do anything to get there, to get it. Whether it's thinking, learning, stepping out when you're afraid, doing things you never did before that you're scared to death to do, but you have enough belief in your heart that if you do it, you will find your way around it.
When you say you have to want it, everybody's it is different. isn't it?
Absolutely. That comes down to when I talk about there's 2 dates in life. The day you were born,
Right.
and the day you figured out why.
Okay.
It's as profound as I
I'm
can
one
say
for
it.
two right now.
Well, most people are 1 for 2.
Yeah.
And a lot of people, they have been beat up so much, they've stopped looking. And
That's the gerbil wheel.
That's the gerbil wheel.
Okay.
And now they're lost and they've stopped looking. That's why I'm doing these series every month on books, to try to encourage people to read something that will re-energize you and get you moving again. The fulfillment through clear thinking. What do I mean by fulfillment, Eddie? Are you fulfilled in life? Do you feel like you have found your place? I believe with all of my being that I have found my place. But I'm 71 years old. I'll be 72 in September, and it's only been the last 15 years. And before that, it was a lot of not even knowing to look. Eventually, I didn't even know to look for this stuff years and years ago till I started to read books that changed my thinking.
And all these books are available right now.
Oh,
That
they're
book's
$6,
from the
$7
30s
books.
or 40s. Yeah.
These aren't big expensive books. You
Right.
can buy these books for $6 to $10 on Amazon, and it just, they're great books. They've been around for decades, and they have changed lives many, many times. You know, I want to shift gears because we're done. We only got about 6 or 7 minutes
You're
left.
driving the bus, Joe.
I will go over this more. Catch me at noon today, folks. But I want to bring up and I want to review. I looked at U.S. debt clock last night, and I show this to everybody that comes in my office, and it is scary numbers if you take them for what they really mean. The national debt as of last night was 28 trillion, 55 billion and some change.
And
That's
some change.
and some change. That's $84,941 per citizen in the U.S. Per taxpayer, it's
Okay.
$223,893 per taxpayer. 7.121 trillion is held by foreign countries.
So
the majority,
25%,
25% is held by foreign countries.
Okay.
The rest of it are U.S. citizens, bought government bonds and all that kind of stuff.
Right.
So where is the money coming from that they put on this national debt? It comes through the Federal Reserve. Now, where does the Federal Reserve get their money? They print it from nothing. They print it on a printing press and created value in that process. And then they loan it to the government. They loan it out through banks, through fractional banking, where you put $1 in the bank, they create $7 out of one in the process of fractional banking.
And it's my dollar, and I
We're,
don't
we're
see
in
a
trouble,
bit of it.
folks. The revenue to the government in taxation was 3.472 trillion. They spent 7.993 trillion. So there was a deficit,
In
a
addition.
shortfall of $4.521 trillion. 4.521. Now let me put it in perspective, folks. Here's perspective. You have a $34,000 a year annual income.
Okay.
Okay? You spent $79,000.
On 34 grand a year?
You have $34,000 of income. You spent $79,000.
I had a big year, didn't I?
Now the problem is what do you do next year?
Hide?
How many years could you do that, Eddie?
How many years could I hide? That's what you would have
Would
to
the
do.
banks
You've
continue
got-
to loan you money?
No, you've got no shot. You literally spent more than twice what you made in a year. How are you going to pay that back?
Exactly right. The GDP, gross domestic product, all the production of the U.S. In 1960, the debt of the government was 53% of the GDP. Today, it is 129.81%.
Okay, so
Now that's
we
the
went
debt.
over 100. These
That's
are,
the debt.
Tom,
now
these numbers
let's
aren't making me happy.
let's go to the next part of this, and it's the U.S. unfunded liabilities. Now, what is that? That is Social Security, Medicare Part A, B, and D, and pensions for government employees and full-time military that are working towards pension, that stayed in,
Okay.
plus all those benefits they get. That number right now is $159.799 trillion.
Okay, another number. My
Now,
brain
what
won't
is
wrap
that?
around.
Per citizen, it's 483,866. Now, imagine that. That per citizen, Eddie, 483, added to the 223.
No, makes my head hurt. It's a bunch.
So
483,
we're at
Thank you.
$700,000 per taxpayer.
Thank you for doing that math.
That's your
for me.
mortgage, folks. And nobody's making payments. And our wonderful politicians in Washington with the razor wire around the people's house. This has become and reached a level of ridiculousness where we vote politicians in, we expect them to do for us, and they don't. They are uncontrollable, no liability, no accountability. They need to be voted out. And I don't care how we do it, but it needs to change. because this is your and my grandchildren and great-grandchildren that are going to be expected to pay for this, and I don't believe it's possible. It actually, per taxpayer, it's 1.3 million. So 1.3 million on the unfunded liability and another 223,000. So we're at about $530,000, $1,530,000 per taxpayer.
And there's zero chance.
Now you got to
that that's
realize
gonna
that
work.
somewhere in the future, this cloud is going to burst into a storm, and that is what I try to prepare people, so that you at least survive when the storm comes. The storm is going to be horrendous when it comes, and who knows?
Worse than 2008, worse than 1929.
I believe it'll be far worse than the 1930s.
Okay.
It'll be worse than it now. Now let me add a caveat. In 2008, when the so-called banks melted down,
Right.
what caused that? What happened?
Bad loans.
That's right. It was bad loans. But where did it lead to? In 1999, Bill Clinton, as president, he made a statement to the banking industry. He says, you will loan money to people over there on the other side of the tracks.
Okay.
Even though they have bad credit and they don't typically make their payments. You will loan money to those people. So that was the beginning of it. And in 2008, there was a meltdown that happened. Now, what was it? It was about derivatives. Now, what are derivatives? Derivatives are a bet of something that's going to happen or not going to happen. And I'll make the story short because we're running out of time. I only got about a minute left.
Okay.
But AIG provided insurance on the mortgage portfolios that were turning sour.
Right.
And as they turned sour, so much bad that it bankrupted AIG.
Yeah.
And the federal government said, well, they're too big to fail. So now these are fat cats in a big office on Wall Street that made a dumb decision that dealt with risk, and they lost. And your and my tax dollars bailed them out to the tune of $85 billion. Now, hey, folks, if you've got money in your 401k, the last time you lost money, did you ask the federal government to bail you out? Don't you think that would be the right thing to do?
I think it would be
I'm
very
sorry,
nice.
folks. I get carried away at this conversation. We're going to stop there. I got a little bit more, but the derivatives in 2008 was 750 trillion derivatives, individual derivatives around the world, and they passed the Dodd-Frank law that said they were going to fix it. The derivatives today are 618 million. So with that, folks, see me at noon today. I will be back on at noon today on Tom Young's Facebook, the Family Money Farm Group. God bless, folks. We'll see you next month, Eddie Crow.
Tom Young on Beaver County Radio. It always rocks.
Are we done?
You might be my favorite interview. I just poke you with a stick, sit there, and you're so good.
Eddie, I believe so
Right,
much.
no, that's
in
exactly why.
people have got to be awakened, and I'm doing
No,
everything
you're
I
talking-
can.
You're talking about like my daughter and people.
And
like
I'm trying to do it in a way that the
If you want to be
the
bold,
social people out there, the social media people, don't shut me off.
they're not going to shut you off.
Well, they shut down all the other conservative people that were talking about this stuff.
There will always, and that's going to.
We'll see you at noon, folks.
That's going to.